The Galactic Council chamber was the most protected building in the known universe. Its walls were made of special crystal that could contain the power of an exploding star. Every species that walked through its doors had to follow one simple rule: give up all weapons before entering. No exceptions. Well, almost no exceptions. Ambassador Mina Kim stepped through the massive entrance doors, her footsteps echoing across the polished floor. She wore a simple gray suit and carried only a small data pad in her hand. The security guards watched her approach their scanning station. Their multiple eyes tracked her movements carefully. The scanner hummed to life as Mina walked through. Blue light washed over her body, searching for weapons, explosives, poisons, or any kind of defensive technology. The machine beeped once and displayed its results on the guard's screen. Cling. No weapons detected. The head guard, a creature with 6 arms and scales like armor, nodded at Mina. She nodded back and continued walking into the main chamber. Behind her, the next delegate approached the scanner. This delegate was from the Thorian Empire. He was twice Mina's height, covered in thick fur with claws as long as kitchen knives. The scanner detected his natural weapons immediately. A security officer approached with a device that would temporarily dull his claws and reduce his strength. The Thorian delegate submitted without complaint. This was the law. This was how things worked. Inside the Great Chamber, hundreds of delegates from across the galaxy gathered for the day's session. Some floated in the air. Others crawled along the walls. Many sat in specially designed chairs that accommodated their unique body shapes. But all of them had one thing in common: they had surrendered their weapons at the door. All except the humans. Mina took her seat in the human section. 3 other human delegates were already there. Dohayan sat reviewing notes on his pad. Saman was speaking quietly with the delegate from the Crystalline Collective. Bangsu was simply watching the room, his eyes moving from one section to another. The chamber moderator, an ancient artificial intelligence that had served the council for thousands of years, called the session to order. Its voice came from everywhere and nowhere at once. The council recognizes Ambassador Krell of the Zinthari Dominion. Krell stood. He was a terrifying sight to most species. His kind were apex predators from a world where everything was designed to kill. Sharp teeth filled his mouth. His skin was harder than steel. His species had dominated their planet for millions of years before reaching the stars. "I wish to raise a concern," Krell said. His words were translated instantly into hundreds of languages. "I have observed something that troubles me deeply. The humans walk through our security without surrendering anything. Yet they clearly have no natural defenses. No armor. No claws. No venom. No thick skin. They are soft creatures from a world we classify as only moderately dangerous." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Many delegates had wondered the same thing but had been too polite to ask. Krell continued. "Every species in this chamber has submitted to the ancient protocol. Even my kind, who are born with weapons as part of our bodies, accept temporary restrictions when we enter this sacred space. But humans? They simply walk through. Why is this permitted? What makes them special?" All eyes turned to the human section. Mina stood slowly. She smiled in that way humans did, showing her small, flat teeth. No threat there. No danger in that smile. "Ambassador Krell raises an interesting point," Mina said. Her voice was calm and pleasant. "Perhaps we should discuss this matter in detail at a later session. There is much history to cover, and I believe the Council's time today is reserved for the trade agreement negotiations." The moderator confirmed this. Ambassador Kim is correct. This matter can be scheduled for future discussion. But Krell was not satisfied. He sat down but his mind was already racing. Something was wrong here. Something the humans were not saying. That night he would search the Council's historical records. He would find the answer to this mystery. He had no idea what he was about to discover. Krell sat alone in his quarters that night, surrounded by floating holographic screens. The Council's historical archives contained billions of records from thousands of worlds. He had been searching for 3 hours, looking for anything about human weapon protocols. The humans had only joined the Council 73 years ago. They were newcomers. Babies in galactic terms. Surely this exemption was just a mistake in the paperwork. Some bureaucrat had forgotten to update the rules. That was all. But the search results told a different story. Krell found a file marked with red security warnings. The title read, Station Meridian Incident Year 2. Just 2 years after humans joined the Council. His clawed hand hesitated over the file. Red warnings meant violence. They meant things the Council preferred to forget. He opened it anyway. The video began with a timestamp and location data. Station Meridian, Sector 7. The Human Embassy. The camera showed a large circular room with art on the walls and comfortable furniture. Everything looked peaceful and diplomatic. Then the alarm started. 12 figures materialized in the room through some kind of quantum tunneling technology. They were Korthax raiders, each one standing 3 meters tall. Their bodies were covered in biometal armor that grew from their own skin. They carried weapons that could dissolve the molecular bonds of anything they touched. Krell knew the Korthax well. They were feared across 6 sectors of space. A single human stood in the center of the room. Ambassador Jiho Park. The file identified him as humanity's first council representative. He was less than 2 meters tall. His body looked soft compared to the armored giants surrounding him. He wore a simple black suit and tie. Surrender your classified data on fusion core technology, the Korthax leader demanded. Or we will take it from your corpses. Jiho adjusted his glasses calmly. I'm afraid we can't do that. What happened next, Krell had to watch 3 times to believe. Jiho moved. Not fast like someone using cybernetic enhancements. Not with the blur of chemical boosters. He moved with something more disturbing than speed. He moved with purpose. The first Korthax swung a blade at Jiho's head. The human ducked low, grabbed a chair and swung it into the raider's knee joint. The Korthax armor was strong against energy weapons and molecular blades, but it had joints that needed to flex. The chair hit that joint perfectly. The raider stumbled. Jiho was already moving to the next target. He used the wall as a springboard, launching himself at a second Korthax. He struck with his elbow at the exact point where the raider's helmet connected to his chest plate. The impact drove the helmet rim into a nerve cluster. The Korthax dropped, paralyzed. 4 seconds had passed. In those 4 seconds, Jiho had moved through the room like water flowing around rocks. He used furniture as shields and weapons. He used walls for leverage. He used his own body weight to multiply the force of his strikes. He hit joints, nerve clusters, and weak points that the Korthax armor couldn't protect. A decorative statue became a bludgeon. A curtain rod became a lever to break an elbow. The corner of a desk became a point to drive a raider's head into, causing a concussion even through the helmet. Krell watched in growing horror. The human wasn't stronger than the Korthax. He wasn't tougher or better armed. But he fought like he had studied their biology for years. Every movement was precise. Every strike hit a weakness. There was no wasted motion, no hesitation, no mercy. When Station Meridian security finally arrived, all 12 Korthax raiders were unconscious on the floor. Some had broken limbs. Others had concussions. All were breathing but unable to fight. Jiho stood in the center of the room, breathing hard. His suit was torn. His glasses were broken. But he was alive. He straightened his jacket with shaking hands and spoke calmly into his communicator. This is Ambassador Park. Please send medical teams to the embassy. We have 12 individuals who need immediate medical attention. Krell stopped the video. His hands were shaking. He had just watched an unarmed human defeat 12 of the galaxy's most feared raiders in hand-to-hand combat. And the human had done it without any weapons at all. The emergency council session was called within 24 hours of the Station Meridian incident. Every delegate in the galaxy received the same message: mandatory attendance. No exceptions. The Great Chamber was more crowded than Krell had ever seen it. Species that normally avoided each other now sat side by side, united by a single concern: fear. The holographic displays showed the footage from Station Meridian on repeat. 12 Korthax raiders defeated by 1 unarmed human. The video played again and again. Each time, delegates watched with growing alarm. This cannot be allowed to continue, announced the speaker from the Collective of Peaceful Worlds. Her voice trembled with emotion. Humans are clearly a violent species. They are dangerous beyond measure. We demand their immediate expulsion from the Council. Voices erupted across the chamber in agreement. Species that had welcomed humanity just 2 years ago now called them a threat to galactic peace. The warrior caste took a different approach. Their representative, a massive creature built like a tank, spoke with cold calculation. We do not call for expulsion. We call for restraints. All human delegates should wear neural inhibitors that limit their physical responses. They should be monitored at all times. Their dangerous instincts must be controlled. More voices joined in support. The chamber descended into chaos as hundreds of species shouted their opinions and fears. The ancient council moderator, the AI that had guided the council for millennia, spoke. Its voice cut through the noise like a blade through silk. Everyone fell silent. Before we make hasty decisions, you should understand what you witnessed, the AI said. I have analyzed human biology, history, and evolution. What I found is remarkable. The holographic displays changed. They now showed images of ancient Earth, vast plains, running animals, small groups of humans with primitive spears. Humans evolved as persistence hunters, the AI explained. They are not the fastest species. They are not the strongest. They have no natural armor, no claws, no venom, no thick skin. But they have something more dangerous than any of these. The images showed humans running after prey for hours, days, never stopping, never giving up. Humans can run for longer than almost any other species on their planet. They can track prey across vast distances. They can notice tiny details in their environment and remember patterns. Most importantly, they can think tactically while under extreme physical stress. This is not learned behavior. This is built into their DNA after millions of years of evolution. The chamber was completely silent now. Every delegate watched and listened. Furthermore, the AI continued, I have reviewed human history. They have been at war somewhere on their planet for over 10,000 consecutive years. They have created more than 400 different systems of hand-to-hand combat. They have invented weapons ranging from sharpened stones to devices that can destroy entire planets. Images flashed across the screens. Human wars. Human weapons. Human history written in blood and fire. In their entire recorded history, the AI said, humans have never experienced a global peace lasting more than 3 generations. War is not something humans do. War is something humans are. The fear in the chamber was thick enough to taste. Krell felt it himself. His species were apex predators, but they had never fought for 10,000 years without stopping. Ambassador Park, the moderator called. The council wishes to hear from you. Jiho stood slowly. His arm was in a sling from the fight. His face still showed bruises. He looked small and fragile compared to the armored, clawed, and fanged species surrounding him. But now they all knew the truth. Looks were deceiving. Honored delegates, Jiho began quietly. Everything the moderator said is true. We are a violent species. We have fought and killed each other for our entire history. We are good at it. Very good at it. He paused, looking around the chamber. But we're also tired, he continued. We're tired of fighting. We're tired of war. We came to the stars hoping to find something better than what we left behind on Earth. We hope to find peace. We hope to find friends. His voice grew stronger. We can't change what we are. Evolution made us into weapons that walk and think and feel. But we can choose what we do with that nature. Every single day we can choose to be better than our instincts. We can choose peace over violence. We can choose cooperation over conflict. Jiho met the eyes of delegates across the chamber. We don't want to be your enemy. We want to be your allies. But we won't apologize for surviving when attacked. And we won't pretend to be something we're not. The debate lasted for 3 months. Every day, species after species presented arguments about what to do with humanity. Some wanted them expelled. Others wanted them restrained. A few wanted them eliminated entirely as a threat to galactic peace. Krell listened to it all. He had become obsessed with understanding humans. Every night he searched through more records, more files, more history. He wanted to find something that would explain them. Something that would make them less frightening. Then he found the classified file from the Krellnax Imperium. His own species. His own government. A report marked with the highest level of secrecy. The file was 50 years old, created decades before humans had even made first contact with the Council. Krell's hands shook as he opened it. The report described a Krellnax exploration vessel that had discovered a primitive human colony on a small ice world in an outer system. The colony had valuable mineral deposits. The Krellnax commander decided to claim the resources and subjugate the colonists. There were only 300 humans on that ice world. They had no military ships, no energy weapons, no plasma cannons or molecular disruptors. They were miners and farmers trying to survive on a frozen rock at the edge of known space. The Krellnax attacked with overwhelming force. The battle lasted 6 days. Krell read the report 3 times, unable to believe what he was seeing. The humans had turned their ice hauler ships into kinetic missiles, launching them at Krellnax vessels at incredible speeds. They had converted mining explosives into orbital mines, creating a deadly field around their planet. They had used their greenhouse domes as ambush points, luring Krellnax soldiers into structures they could then expose to vacuum. Every piece of mining equipment became a weapon. Every building became a fortress. Every single human fought with a creativity and viciousness that shocked the Krellnax commanders. On the 6th day, the Krellnax expedition commander sent a message back to the Imperium. We have lost 4 ships and 300 soldiers. The humans have seized one of our vessels and are now using it against us. They are broadcasting a message on all frequencies. It says, "Leave us alone." The Imperium sent reinforcements, but when they arrived, the original attack force had already retreated. The commander recommended avoiding all human-occupied systems in the future. The Imperium agreed. They classified the entire incident and never spoke of it again. Until now. Krell brought the report to the council the next day. He stood before thousands of delegates and shared what his own species had hidden. "We already knew," he said quietly. "My people knew what humans were capable of 50 years ago. We learned the hard way. And we chose to hide that knowledge rather than admit we had been defeated by a species with no weapons." The chamber erupted in shocked voices. Other species began checking their own classified archives. More reports emerged. A Thorian trade ship that had tried to enslave human colonists and lost. A pirate fleet that had attacked a human research station and been destroyed. A criminal syndicate that had kidnapped human children for ransom and was found 3 days later, every member dead, the children safely returned home. The pattern was clear. You could attack humans. You could threaten them. You could hurt them. But you could never disarm them because they were never truly unarmed. The precursor AI spoke into the chaos. The council faces a choice. We can try to control humans through force and restraints. This will fail. Humans will resist any attempt to limit their freedom, and that resistance will be violent. Or we can choose a different path. The chamber fell silent. We can trust them, the AI continued. We can make their choice not to bring weapons into this chamber a point of honor rather than enforcement. We can transform restraint from a requirement into a sign of respect. "That's insane," someone shouted. "We would be trusting the most dangerous species in the galaxy to simply choose not to harm us." "Yes," the AI replied. "But consider this, humans have been choosing not to harm each other for their entire time on the council. Ambassador Park was attacked by 12 armed raiders and he still called for medical help for them afterward. He could have killed them all. Instead he showed mercy." The moderator paused. "Humans know they are weapons. They live with that knowledge every day. And every day they choose peace anyway. That choice is more powerful than any security scanner we could build." The vote took place 1 week later. The new protocol passed with 73% support. Humans would not surrender weapons when entering council chambers. Because asking them to surrender weapons they were not carrying missed the entire point. 40 years passed. The protocol became tradition. Then tradition became legend. New species joining the council learned the rule quickly. Everyone surrenders their weapons at the door except humans who bring none. Some still questioned it. Some still feared it. But it worked. The humans kept their promise. Every single day they chose peace. Krell had become an old ambassador now. He had watched human delegates come and go over the decades. He had even become friends with some of them. He no longer feared humans. He respected them. Then the Devourer fleet arrived. The warning came on a Tuesday morning. Long-range sensors detected them at the edge of council space. The Devourers were the galaxy's oldest nightmare. They consumed entire planets. They absorbed technology and used it against their enemies. They had destroyed civilizations that were ancient when most current species were still learning to use fire. The Council's military forces engaged them immediately. 50 ships. The best weapons in the galaxy. The finest trained warriors from 100 worlds. They lasted 4 hours. The Devourers adapted to every tactic, every weapon, every strategy. They learned and evolved faster than anyone could fight them. And now they were heading straight for the Council homeworld. Trillions of people lived there. Evacuation would take months. They had days at most. The Council gathered in emergency session. Panic filled the Great Chamber. Some delegates were already fleeing to their home systems. Others sat in stunned silence, waiting for death. Then Ambassador Hyun Lee of the human delegation requested permission to speak. Hyun was younger than the other human delegates. She had been on the council for only 5 years. But when she stood, every human in the chamber stood with her. Do-hyun, Mina, Bongsu, Salmon. Every human aide, assistant, and staff member rose as one. "Honored delegates," Hyun said. "For 40 years, you have trusted us to walk into this chamber unarmed. Today I must tell you something that will frighten you. We have never been unarmed." The chamber went silent. Hyun activated her data pad. The holographic displays lit up with information that made Krell's blood run cold. Tactical assessments of the Council's defenses. Detailed maps showing every entrance, every exit, every structural weakness in the building. Weapon placements. Firing solutions. evacuation routes, emergency protocols. Every human who works in this building is former military, Hyun explained calmly. Every delegate, every aide, every technician, even the cleaning staff. We are all trained. We are all watching. We have been protecting this place since the day we arrived. She gestured to the displays. We see battlefields everywhere. We can't help it. It's in our nature. We look at this beautiful chamber and we see firing lanes. We see choke points. We see defensible positions. Every council session we're running scenarios in our heads. 347 different attack scenarios, to be exact. Krell felt his old fear returning. But Hyun's next words changed everything. And every single day we choose not to activate those scenarios. Every day we choose to protect this place instead of exploit its weaknesses. Every day we choose all of you over our own violent instincts. She took a deep breath. The Devourers are coming. We've analyzed their attack patterns. We've identified their weaknesses. We have developed a counter-strategy. But we need your permission because what we're about to do violates every peace treaty we've signed. What we're about to do isn't diplomacy. Hyun's voice turned cold. It's war. And humans are extremely good at war. The vote was unanimous. Do whatever is necessary. Save the council. 12 hours later, the Devourer fleet retreated. Their ships were damaged. Their patterns were broken. They had faced something they had never encountered before. An enemy that adapted faster than they did. An enemy that predicted their moves and turned their own tactics against them. An enemy that innovated violence in real time. The humans had fought like demons. They used psychological warfare to confuse the Devourers. They used deception to split their fleet. They used asymmetric tactics that made no logical sense but worked perfectly. They fought with a creativity born from 10,000 years of continuous warfare. When it ended, Hyun returned to the council chamber. The delegates were waiting. She walked to the center and placed a single object on the speaker's podium. A knife. Simple, ancient, and deadly. This is who we were, she said softly. This is who we could be again if we chose. We leave it here as a reminder. She looked around at the faces of 1,000 species. We are permitted to be weaponless not because we lack weapons, but because we choose peace despite being born for war. That choice is our greatest weapon. And we will never ever surrender it. The knife was placed in the council museum behind unbreakable glass. A simple sign explained its meaning, humanity's promise, to choose peace every day. And every species that joined the council after that day learned the truth. You cannot disarm a species that sees the entire universe as an armory. You can only trust them to choose not to reach for it.